Welcome into First Alert Weather Expert Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt. We're sort of in First Alert weather mode right now because we are tracking some severe storms. Kind of interesting, the storms today out of all this active weather are rotating a little bit, and that's because we do have a little bit of wind energy in the atmosphere, but that even drives up the concern for those straight line winds. Just got to report in some trees down in parts of Blount County. We've had some flash flooding in a couple of areas. Let's get right to First Alert AccuTrack radar, and here's what we're monitoring at the moment. We have severe thunderstorms pressing through St. Clair County, also into Clay County, and we did have, well, looks like another warning has popped up over Marion County. So these storms that have been tracking across these same locations in here, the possibility of some damaging straight line winds. Hamilton, areas from Double Springs and Point South there, we need to be alert for that possibility, some damaging straight line winds as storms move west to east across the area. You can see the first alert times on, I believe we're looking at this storm, correct? Yes, that storm that's over Marion County. Looking at some first alert times, if you're in Delmer, 6:58, another storm. I know we've had multiple rounds, but unlike the typical setup, there's a disturbance that's helping to drive some of this. That's why after the rain moves through and it cools off a little bit, we still have storms that are moving across the area. So we do have a bit of upper level support keeping these storms going. But Hamilton, once again, some heavy rain. Flooding is going to become a big issue here if we keep seeing these storms moving across the same area. The one area, St. Clair County is just covered up from Branchville to Springville, Raglan, Asheville, Whitney Junction, anywhere from Highway 411, Highway 231. Stay indoors all the way down to Pell City. Lightning all over the place here across the county. Looks like around Moody as well, around Leeds and the outlets. Brompton area, you can see some times of arrival, 6:38. Looks like Parsons around 6:40. Some first alert times on that storm. And if it holds together and the way this is moving, I'd probably see maybe Ohatchee as well as Lincoln there included in that warning as it moves on to the east. Lineville, we're in a severe thunderstorm warning. Clay County, Ashland, Lineville. This is in effect until 7:45. An intense storm has been lifting in from the south and west. It looks as though that's going to stay south of Sylacauga. So at this point, all the heavy rain, Sylacauga, I know it's hot, know it's humid. We've had temperatures in the 90s, heat index over 100. Where it's not raining right now, it still feels like 100 degrees. So we've had quite a few areas out there with those extreme heat index levels today, but storms now pushing into southern Clay County. And that's what we're tracking a lot on radar at this time as we have the heating of the day. A live look from Nectar. This is in Blount County. You can see the heavy rains moved on through, but we had quite the storm that impacted Blount County here. What's going to happen later on tonight? We could see some more storms that return overnight, and then tomorrow morning, possibility of some wet weather. Check in with Matt and Mickey. I think we're going to start out with some rain and storms moving in from the north, but the severe risk is less in the morning as we are going to cool off overnight. I think some of that upper support passes on by. So in the morning, maybe a little bit of wet weather around. But if the temperatures are able to rebound, we're able to see some of those upper 80s and 90s again tomorrow. We will need to be alert for more scattered thunderstorms impacting the area during the afternoon. So some photos just in here. This coming in from Glenda on our First Alert weather app. And check your mobile device, by the way. Make sure you might have one of those lightning alerts, and we're seeing those. They're being sent out. If you don't have our weather app, great tool. Make sure you have that so you can get those precipitation alerts. This is in Coleman, exit 309. Very ominous looking cloud. If you see something like this, that is a shelf cloud. And thankfully, you know, we have such an incredible sky vision network from west to east across the state. We're able to kind of look at the radar, look at what's on camera, and from most of the views, what we're seeing, we're not seeing any base lowering or anything like that with these storms. But that was from Coleman, exit 309 again. Christina sharing that view, but you can see it, a low cloud there. Certainly, it's hard to tell when you have the trees like that. That's why you have to, it's nice when you have those cameras up. You can really tell if there's a tornado. But this is what we are confirming. A lot of hail with some of those storms and quarter size. That is a severe storm. So you take a quarter. If there's a severe storm outside, it starts hailing and it's the size of a quarter. That is a storm that's capable of producing 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. A very intense storm. Another view. This is that's from Hayden. A lot of pictures coming in from Hayden right now. Let's see, that is Maria sharing that image. This is one from Paul, another one from Hayden. But a lot of storm photos out there, and a lot of ominous clouds as those storms impact the area. But what we're going to do, we're going to continue to track these storms and also talk a bit about the rest of the setup, the overnight. Next 7 days, we'll have all of that for you coming up on First Alert Weather Extra. Again, one more look here as we look at the next big thing, that chance of wet weather. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. It looks like later next week we could end up with some drier conditions on the way finally. I've been waiting to look at this date and say, all right, when's this going to change? Because we've been in this active pattern. But I think as we take you beyond the 7-day, Lauren's going to have some good news here coming up. So we're going to check in with her. We're also going to check in with that full 7-day I mentioned. More on the storms impacting the area, flooding in Europe. We got a meteor shower coming up. Find out all about it as we continue now on Weather Extra.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Good Day, Alabama.
A new morning comes with preparing right, because while you slept, news broke.
We have new information from that breaking news that happened this morning.
While you head out, the storm we gave you the first alert for is on its way in. And as the key turns the ignition, your shorter route to work is being found.
Avoid 459 southbound completely because of a crash.
A new morning means everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama, always on your side.
The First Alert traffic you need to get you there safe and on time. Tomorrow morning, everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
You're late, out the door, and on the go. Don't worry.
Good Day, Alabama continues all morning long.
And wherever you watch, this is what you need to know right now.
More reporters on the streets with more hours of news when you need it. Everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama. Knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. I'm your First Alert meteorologist, Tania Michelle, and cleanup efforts are underway across nearly a dozen states after severe storms impacted eastern states earlier this week, with more still to come. Fox News national correspondent Brian Yanes has more.
Relentless rain pummeling the eastern U.S. on Tuesday, prompting tornado and flood warnings across New England. It comes as utility crews scrambled to restore power to thousands of homes and businesses after severe thunderstorms swept through the region on Monday. Folks here now trying to make sense of the devastation.
Just the wind really fast. I didn't think it was a tornado, but when you see all these trees down, look, this one is huge and it's down.
At the height of Monday's storms, more than 1 million customers from Alabama to New York were without electricity. In Westminster, Maryland, crews worked to clear active power lines that toppled onto a major highway, trapping nearly 50 people in their cars for hours. Local officials say miraculously no one was injured, but warn the cleanup could take days.
But know that we plan on staying coordinated, we plan on staying focused, and know that we are going to get this done.
But this storm system turned deadly in the southeast. A 15-year-old boy in South Carolina was killed by a falling tree, while a 28-year-old Alabama man died after being struck by lightning. Local officials urging people to heed weather warnings.
We just encourage folks to continue to be weather aware, watch alerts as they come through, and remain as safe as they possibly can.
Meanwhile, these storms also having a big impact on air travel, with more than 2,000 flights delayed or canceled on Tuesday. In New York, Brian Yanes, Fox News.
And severe storms aren't the only weather disasters the U.S. has experienced throughout the first half of the year. Along with blizzards, damages from these weather events have cost a fortune. So much so that a new report from the National Centers for Environmental Information says it tracked 15 weather events where the cost and damages exceeded $1 billion, which is a new record. They also reported that the number of billion-dollar storms is the highest it's been since 1980. Overall, these disasters have cost nearly $40 billion and are to blame for more than 110 deaths so far this year.
Yeah, and the USA is not the only country dealing with above average precipitation. In Slovenia, torrential rain triggered devastating floods on Monday. A month's worth of rain fell in less than 1 day. Many homes, roads, and fields washed away because of the floods, bringing an estimated cost of around $500 million in damage. These floods are being called the worst natural disaster to ever hit the country. Well, residents in southern parts of Norway are evacuating after several days of heavy rain in the region. The persistent rainfall triggered landslides and flooding. Officials said they initially considered blowing up part of the dam at the local power plant to prevent communities from being flooded. But the constant rain broke through the structure, and the power plant on the Glomma, Norway's longest and most voluminous river, was underwater and out of operation. Authorities say at least 1,000 people who live in communities close to the river have been evacuated. And across the USA, in Alaska, after a historic glacial dam outburst in Juneau over the weekend, multiple agencies have been working to piece everything to get back together. The city held an official meeting Monday where they declared this a local emergency and have requested state and federal assistance. Joe Cadoti reports.
We've all seen the videos, especially this one, of a house being shredded apart by flooding in Juneau.
We were super lucky in that both in that particular residence and in the other residences that were damaged, that we did not experience any deaths or any major injuries.
City and Borough of Juneau Deputy City Manager Robert Barr was among those who spoke at the special assembly meeting Monday night. The body solidifying this weekend's historic flooding as a local emergency and formally requesting state and federal assistance in its aftermath.
A local emergency declaration allows us to procure goods and services faster if necessary.
Engineering and Public Works Director Katie Kester describes a timeline of events that night.
About 6:20 p.m. we started losing trees and losing bank of the river. CBJ stood up an emergency operations center at 7:30 p.m. at JPD. During that time, of course, CCFR was responding, evacuating residences. JPD was responding, doing crowd control, getting people off the bridge, off from around the bank.
8 structures with 20 to 24 housing units along the banks of the river condemned. 2 structures swept into the river as crews continue trying to prevent a third. Barr has been meeting with those who've lost their homes to the flood.
They were, both resilient and sad. They were digesting the facts that their houses have, in many cases, been destroyed, and making plans for really pragmatic steps that they could take to move forward and figure out what comes next.
The majority of flood damage is to private structures, although some public damage was recorded, such as 3 submerged sewage lift stations. The assembly also says some fuel tanks were swept away. The U.S. Coast Guard and the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation are both monitoring the area for pollutants, such as oil sheens.
And in Texas, a large brush fire in Cedar Park on Tuesday sparked evacuations for an apartment complex. And even though the fire is still burning today, crews have made significant progress in containing the wildfire. The fire burned an estimated 50 acres, and so far 60% has been contained. According to the city, approximately 300 apartment units, 95 townhomes, and multiple businesses in the area had been evacuated, with one apartment complex being destroyed. Cedar Park Fire Chief saying that the fire spread from grass to trees, which eventually jumped to the building. Lauren?
Wow, thanks, Tania. Well, what some are calling an apocalyptic scene is unfolding in Hawaii. Multiple wildfires are burning in Maui, driven in part by strong winds from a passing hurricane. For some in the fire's path, the only escape is into the sea. Laura Aguirre has more as the state grapples with this ever-expanding disaster.
It's apocalypse. It's like straight out of the movie.
Many in Maui are under red flag warnings as suffocating smoke and fast-moving flames rage across the western edge of the island.
One of my houses definitely caught fire. The other houses are each a block away.
Challenging terrain along with forceful gusts up to 80 miles an hour at times are some of the factors hampering emergency crews. As flames moved in, some have taken desperate action.
Individuals jumping into the ocean, concerned for their safety. The U.S. Coast Guard retrieved them from the shoreline and took them to safety.
911 is down, cell service is down, phone service is down, and that's been part of the problem.
I still don't know where my little brother is. I don't know where my stepdad is. Everyone I know in Lahaina, their homes have been burned down.
Forecasters say Hurricane Dora, a Cat 4 storm passing nearly 800 miles southwest of Hawaii, is behind some of the high winds blowing across Maui. Another huge concern for state officials, tourists.
We're already working with a local airline to see if we can get tourists off the island to at least house them on another island like Oahu.
Hawaii has declared a state of emergency, and the White House says it's in contact with officials there. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Wow. Well, that White House official also says President Joe Biden is monitoring the wildfires in Hawaii, but did not weigh in on whether the president would send more federal aid to the state. Tania?
And after gas prices have been rising the past few weeks, relief could soon be on the way. The summertime surge has affected gas prices as AAA reports. The national average for gas is now $3.82. The heat is one of the reasons to blame. As temperatures rose above 100 degrees in some areas, this prompted temporary outages and supply cuts at refineries. But due to slower driving weeks and smaller drops in temperature this month, drivers could soon see a relief at the pump. Well, you are watching First Alert Weather Extra. We're coming back with more information and a forecast. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
We heard the first alert.
Is it the 7-day?
Mom says we have to go. She says I don't have time to grab any more toys.
Need to be in your tornado safe place. Get there right now as you have.
We have to get to our safe place because sometimes when you hear the siren, it's too late. That's why she says knowing first is everything.
We know weather can be grab the umbrella or jogging shoes, but it's so much more. It's a science, an art, led by knowledge and experience.
And no one has more of that than a WBRC First Alert weather team.
Warning you first with more hours committed to you. And the first forecast built to see weeks, days, and even minutes ahead, right down to where you live. From the team you trust on your favorite screen.
Doing the weather better. The WBRC First Alert weather team always on your side.
The first alert is more than a warning. It's a promise. A promise to get you out of harm's way with plenty of time to spare. 4 walls and a roof can be replaced. Lives can't. That's why knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
All right, let's check out First Alert AccuTracker radar at this time and want to go into a live look at what's going on. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan here on the radar controls, and we'll bring in the live look. Actually, we're going to go into, let me make sure I'm on. There we go, on another computer here in the Weather Center. Now have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. We have Coosa County, Clay County under warnings. We also have let's see, here's Clay County, and there's Talladega County now under severe thunderstorm warnings. Pretty much all these storms that we're seeing now, the Weather Service just issuing a severe thunderstorm warning. There's Clay, and that is until 7:45, but quite a bit of lightning. And so far what we're seeing, even though some of these storms are trying to show a little bit of rotation, it's mostly straight line winds that we're seeing with these storms. There's one now that's developed south of Oatman in Fayette County. That one also showing a little bit of curvature to it there. That's around the Alta area, Berry, that's moving close to Oatman here, places on Highway 69. Let's hold it right here. Highway 69 from Oatman to Whitson, you need to be indoors. That storm's moving to the east direction. And actually, Tania, let's plot those lightning counts on here just to show folks. You can see 70 strikes, cloud to ground lightning. So this is air that's hotter. It's less turned over. We haven't seen as many storms move through. So even tonight, next few hours, some of these areas to the south, Tuscaloosa, where it's been very hot, stay weather alert because we're probably going to see these storms. There's a boundary that has set up here, and that's going to keep those storms going as these move further south. More warnings to the north. We've been talking about there's Coleman County. That looks like around Smith Lake, another storm that's moving in. This one non-severe, but a first alert for another storm that's around Hamilton and Piney Grove that is moving off to the east direction. We're seeing more of these storms lining up from west to east across the area. Let's go back into play mode here, and we'll go over to our 24-hour forecast just to show you tonight. I still think by 10, 11 o'clock, we'll see a lot of this activity that starts to settle down during the overnight hours. But as we move into tomorrow, it looks as though past midnight and into early tomorrow morning, we're going to be dealing with those storms and showers coming back. There's 9 p.m., and here's a look at later on tonight, that wet weather moving in. Again, the storms overnight and tomorrow morning, I think, will be much weaker as we get this boundary that moves on through and the atmosphere is kind of worked over, so we won't be quite as unstable. Might get some early morning rumbles, but again, the severe threat lessens. But tomorrow, if we're able to heat up, especially later in the day, we will need to be alert for that threat of a few strong thunderstorms. But check your mobile device. You might have a lightning alert right now. We're seeing that we do have storms. Again, quite a bit of lightning popping up. We're sending those out on the First Alert weather app. If you don't have it, you can just scan the code right there and download for free our WPRC First Alert weather app. And by the way, if you're watching us on Roku right now, we are streaming on our First Alert weather app. 7-day forecast. One thing I want to show you this weekend, rain chances do start to back off Saturday and into Sunday. It looks like Friday, better chance of rain coming in late, and then the rain chances start to back off. Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, less humid, highs around 90 degrees. And we have been waiting on this day for quite a while because we have been talking about these storms. A lot of folks on Facebook and on Lauren and Tania's Facebook saying, when are we going to get out of this stormy pattern? But it looks like maybe next week, towards the end of the week. And right now we're going to head over to Lauren and answer that question. Lauren's going to take us beyond the 7-day. And please tell us, Lauren, I know you've looked at the latest long-range data. Hopefully it doesn't change.
Yeah, we hope so, because every time we get our hopes up this summer, it's like, no, we're just going to keep doing the northwest flow pattern instead and make your life miserable. So what we are looking at 6 to 10 days from now, it still looks like we could be seeing above average temperatures if we have a situation where we end up in a drier pattern. If you get in one of those types of setups, then it can get maybe a little bit more comfortable in the mornings, but can heat up quickly with a dry heat in the afternoon. So as we look ahead to next week, possibly low mid-90s, and then showing maybe a little cool down the following weekend if we have more rain around. But you can see we keep going farther into August. This is looking at August 15th through 24th, closer to the end of the month. We could be seeing upper 90s again. And so Wes was mentioning we have a front coming through that could potentially bring a little bit of drier air. So hey, maybe 60s by next Tuesday and Wednesday morning, but it still looks like it's going to be pretty mild as far as those morning temperatures beyond the 7-day. Now, as far as the rainfall outlook, we were just looking at this and like, hey, we ain't mad to see that. So the possibility of below average precipitation in Alabama. So that could mean less of a stormy pattern in place. Here we are next Thursday. August 17th. It looks like we're maybe could see a few showers and storms around, but it doesn't look like anything too unusual yet. Of course, as we get farther into the month of August, we want to watch the southeast coast and the Gulf of Mexico as well for any signs of tropical development. But right now, just looks kind of run-of-the-mill, maybe seeing some easterly flow. And when you get that in place too, you want to watch for the potential for any tropical systems to coming into the southeast coast. So we'll watch that, but I'm not seeing anything that stands out at this time. But in the meantime, we're talking about the weather here on Earth. Well, a new study found that a Bronze Age arrowhead unearthed in Switzerland was made from, get this, a meteorite. That's according to the Journal of Archaeological Science. Researchers say that the arrowhead dates back to between 900 and 800 BC, making it almost 3,000 years old. The inch-and-a-half long artifact was created with iron from a meteorite that landed in Estonia. That means that meteoritic iron was traded in Europe by 800 BC or earlier, making experts say that this trade was unusual that early in history. Tania?
Well, thanks, Lauren. And this weekend will be a special one for all of my stargazers. The Perseid meteoroid shower hits its peak on August 12th and 13th, when dozens of meteors will zoom through the sky per hour, according to the Abrams Planetarium at Michigan State University. To get the best look, of course, we hope there are no clouds, but also people are advised to find an area with little to no light pollution. People in the northern hemisphere will have the best viewing. The Perseid meteor shower ends on September 1st, which is the meteorological start to the fall season. Lauren?
Thanks, Tania. Well, the British Navy was on a mission in the Caribbean to help save turtles. Sailors with the Royal Navy helped clean up trash and debris on turtle habitats through the island of Curaçao. Some 50 sailors from the destroyer HMS Dauntless worked alongside members of a turtle conservation group to clean up and help check turtles there for disease. The sailors helped remove more than 440 pounds of ocean plastic. All the more reason to use a reusable water bottle. And how would you not want to do that? Those turtles are so stinking cute. Well, we will be tracking the storms tonight. If we do have a situation where there are some thunderstorms that could be causing damage, or if we have a situation where there's a rogue tornado warning, hopefully we won't see that, but we will cut into programming as necessary. Make sure you're staying up to date on that First Alert weather app. And Wes will have an update tonight on First at 9 on Fox 6. And you can catch us here on Weather Extra every weeknight at 6:30. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Have a safe and happy Wednesday evening.